Hi, welcome to this video all about OET frequently asked questions. My name is Kalsoom and I am the IELTS and OET trainer for medical professionals. The whole idea about these videos is to answer 10 of the most frequently asked questions regarding OET. I've been teaching OET and IELTS for many years now, and I get asked lots and lots of questions every single day, and usually they are the same questions that get asked over and over again. So I thought it would be really useful to put it together in a video format so it can help as many people as possible. So in each video I focus on 10 questions, so I've kept it quite short so it's easy to listen to and to learn from. So let's get started. First of all, please make sure that you like, share and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. If you like and share, and click on the bell icon so you don't miss the next video. I'll be doing other videos, not just on frequently asked questions, but on different aspects of the test. Please share with your colleagues and friends who may also benefit. In the notes below this video, you'll find a link to my free training, Planning for OET Success. It's a series of 5 videos that help you through how to organize yourself, how to focus on the correct things in your preparation, what you should be doing for each aspect of the test. So please make sure that you download that. There are also links to my free Facebook groups for both IELTS and OET. And I've left my email address there if you would like to get in contact with me and find out about how you can train with me, my membership for OET. My monthly membership for OET is starting in March of this year, 2022. So if you're interested in that or working with me one-to-one, just send me an email and let me know you're interested and I'll send you the details. Okay, let's get started. So the first question is, what is included in the word count in the writing test? So the word count only includes the paragraphs that you actually write. So it doesn't include the address, it doesn't include the re section where you write the patient's name and the date of birth. That is not included. And obviously it doesn't include the date, and it doesn't include the end greeting at the end. So it's basically what we call the main body paragraph, so the actual paragraphs that you are writing. Everything else really is just coming from the case notes. Who you, the date, the address, and everything like that. So that's not actually you. It's not coming from you. You're just copying it from the case notes, and it's just standard stuff you're writing down. Obviously, you do get marked for the layout, so that it is important that you have everything correct. But in terms of the word count, only the main body paragraphs are included in the word count. Next question, my word limit is always above 200. It's normally 210 or 220. So for this, I would say that I would suggest that you are probably doing one of two mistakes, or possibly both. You are including irrelevant case notes. So case notes that are not needed, case notes that the reader does not need to know. So you have to go back and look at if you are including just the case notes that the reader needs to know. So when you're writing the letter and you're selecting the relevant case notes, always keep that in your mind. What does the reader of the letter need to know? Put yourself in the shoes of the recipient of the letter and ask yourself, do I need to know this for me to be able to continue with the care plan or whatever is being asked of me? Do I need to know this? And go through every single case note and asking yourself that same question. Do I need to know this? Do I need to know this? And that will really help you to focus yourself and make sure you are only selecting the relevant case notes. The second problem that you might be doing is you're not writing concisely enough. So perhaps you are elaborating too much on the case notes and you're not combining the case notes and writing in a concise way, in a very short way. So you are including as much information as possible, relevant information as possible, but in a very, using as fewer words as possible. So that's what I mean by conciseness. Remember, if you are not concise and clear, so conciseness and clarity, these are two things that are also in the marking criteria. So you have to work on these two aspects. If the word limit is a problem, then analyze these two things. Are you including irrelevant case notes, and are you writing too much? Are you not writing concisely? And the true is, opposite for the opposite problem. If you're not writing enough, maybe you are writing in too short form, and you're not expanding on the case notes enough, or maybe you are excluding some relevant case notes. You haven't included all the relevant case notes. So, the opposite is true as well. Okay, next one. In a referral letter, can we start the letter by saying, I am writing to introduce or writing to update? In a referral letter, you are writing to somebody that has not met the patient before. So it's okay to say, it would be appropriate to say, I'm writing to introduce, and then you would include the patient's name. You could use that as an alternative to I'm writing to refer. That's okay. But not writing to update, because the reader would not be familiar with the patient. Like I mentioned, the recipient of the letter would not know the patient. This would be their first, they would be receiving information about this patient for the first time. So to update would not be appropriate. But yes, I am writing to introduce, that would be fine. How to score well in listening part C. Okay, so listening part C is, as you know, it's 2 longer texts that you have to listen to, and the recordings are about 5 minutes each, and you have 6 multiple choice questions for each section. The biggest advice, the most important advice I would give about scoring well with listening part C is, as part of the test, you are given 90 seconds to read the questions before you listen to the audio. And those 90 seconds really are the key to doing well. And you have to have a strategy. I'm always, if you're familiar with my work, if you follow me on LinkedIn or my podcast or anything like that, or if you've trained with me, I always talk about strategy. You have to have a strategy. You have to have a plan on how you're going to answer the questions. If you don't know how you're going to answer the questions, then you will get lost and you'll waste time in the test and you will not score very well. You definitely won't get the score that you need. So what you need to do in your preparation is to make sure you are you're practicing using those 90 seconds to your maximum advantage. So this is what I suggest that you do in those 90 seconds. Read the questions only, not the options. Read the questions only, first of all, and underline keywords. And understand what the question is asking you. What is the question asking you? Underline the keywords, think of synonyms as quickly as possible. Then, once you've gone through those questions, read again with the time that you have left, and this time read the questions with the options and try to differentiate between the options. So look at the wording again. It's all down to the wording. What makes each option different? And that will help you to focus on which option is relevant. Again, underline. So just to recap, in the 90 seconds, first of all, read the questions only without the options, underline keywords, understand what the question is asking. Then with the time that you have left, go back and read the options and do the same thing, underline, circle the keywords. Circling, underlining, what this does is it helps you to focus your eyes when you're listening, because when you're listening, you have to read at the same time, and it's difficult to read absolutely everything, every single word while you're listening. So by underlining and or circling keywords, you are focusing your eyes just on what is important, and that will help you to listen to the correct answer. So think of synonyms as you go. Vocabulary is key here. So if vocabulary is a weak point, you must work on your vocabulary, because the listening, and the same is for the reading as well, it won't have exactly the same words in the questions. There'll be synonyms or a paraphrase of the question, something like that. So make sure you are working on your vocabulary every single day. And as you know, if you're familiar with my work, you know that I say try to learn 5 new words every single day from, and pick those 5 words from what you are reading, what you are listening to, and learn 5 new words every single day. This obviously takes a lot of practice. It's a lot to do in 90 seconds, but the more you practice, the quicker you will become. And the more you expand your vocabulary, again, it will become a lot easier for you. How is remarking done for reading and listening? So reading and listening, parts B and C are computer marked. So always be careful how you are marking your answer. Make sure it's clear and that you've only marked one, so there's no confusion there. Only part A is marked by a person, and it's marked by 2 separate assessors with an answer key. So they have an answer key which have the only possible answers that are correct. So with reading part A, spend some extra seconds to make sure you're spelling correctly. It's really, really important to make sure that you've spelt everything correctly, because you are copying. In part A, you are just copying from the text. So there really is no excuse for spelling mistakes. And if you spell something incorrectly in part A, for reading this is, you will get it marked wrong. Even if the examiner can understand what you're writing and knows what you have written, if it's spelt wrong, they'll mark it wrong because you are copying. So there's no excuse for spelling mistakes. It's different in the listening, part A. There will be some flexibility given if you have spelt something wrong. But as long as the examiner can understand what you've written and the answer is obviously correct, then you will be marked. You'll be given the mark for that. But obviously accuracy is key. Try not to make any spelling mistakes if you possibly can. So this is something that you need to be quite good at, and something you need to practice. So really focus on your spelling, and yeah, hopefully you should be okay with the remarking. What if I spell something wrong in listening part A? So as I mentioned before, it's more flexible in listening part A than in the reading and the writing, but you must be accurate as possible. But if you get stuck, I would say the best thing to do, if you get stuck on a word and how it's spelt, then just spell it how it is sounded, how it sounds. As long as the examiner can read and understand it, and obviously it's the correct answer, you're more likely you'll get the mark. So if you really get stuck with a word, just spell it how it sounds, basically. What advice would you give on answering reading part C? So reading part C, these are 2 longer text, 8 multiple choice questions. You cannot read the whole text. You can't read every single word, and you're not expected to. So you've got to have a very smart strategy, an efficient strategy, to reading. And a lot of the work can be done in the questions without looking at the options. So, read the question only first and try to answer the question. Go back to the text after just reading the question and try to find what you think the answer is. Identify the paragraph using the keywords from the question. Find out what you think the answer is, and then go back to the options and choose the correct option. So sometimes it's better to answer the question first rather than looking at all the options and looking at all the possibilities and getting confused. You're more likely to be confused if you look at the options first. So try to answer the question by itself. Then go back and look at the options. And also another good strategy is, once you think you have found the right option, always double check your answer by understanding why the other two options are wrong. So sometimes it's good to actually work backwards and eliminate the wrong answer first, or you can even do it afterwards, even when you've found the correct answer. Just as a way of double checking your answer, just go through quickly and see why the other two options are wrong. So it's almost like proofreading. You're double checking your answer and making sure it's correct. Obviously, if your reading is to a good standard, your vocabulary, you're skimming, you're scanning quickly, and you're able to read in that depth, then this will be quite easy. Again, this takes practice. Read widely, similar texts, so things like that will come from manuals or studies, surveys, things like that, research papers. Read as much as you can, and just work paragraph to paragraph. You just need to work, you don't have to read the whole thing. Just pick 4 paragraphs, 5 paragraphs, and just focus on what each paragraph is talking about by skimming and scanning and identifying keywords. What are the key points in each paragraph? That's how you should be reading, and you should be doing this regularly, and this will help you in all aspects of the reading test, but especially in Part C. I lose my concentration very quickly in the test. Okay, so this is a really common problem. A lot of students say this, and they don't understand that on the test day, you're doing these tests usually back to back, all in one day. I know sometimes the speaking can be booked, especially during COVID. Sometimes you can book the speaking on a different day, but usually it's all on one day. So it's a lot to do all in one day. The concentration level that you need for that period of time and to the level that you need it to is a lot. So a lot of students are not prepared for that and suffer from what I call test fatigue. Halfway through the reading, for example, they'll lose concentration, especially in Part C, because their brain has just had enough, and they end up guessing the answers or just making silly mistakes. So the most important thing I can say here is that you need to build up your test stamina. So that includes your reading stamina, your listening stamina, your writing stamina, your speaking stamina, your proofreading stamina, going back and checking your work, correcting mistakes at the end. A lot of students, when they get to the end of the test, it's like, oh, thank God that's over. They put their pen down and that's it. Even if they have 5 minutes to spare or 2 minutes to spare or even 1 minute to spare, don't waste that 1 minute. Go back and check your answers. They're so tired by the end that they'll just use that 1 minute to relax. No, you can relax when the test is over. Use the time left to go back and check. So these are things that you need to build up. You need to build up that stamina. You need to build up that, that resistance to that fatigue by practicing a lot and reading for an hour, for example, with full concentration, without any distractions. And the same for the listening, the same for the writing, 45 minutes of writing continuously, no break, no distractions, proofreading, and really kind of losing yourself in the task. And that's, it's like a muscle, basically. When you go to the gym, if you go to the gym once a week, you're going to build up that muscle very, very slowly. And if you don't go for a couple of weeks, then, when you do go back, it's like starting all over again. So you must do this regularly, every single day. Even if it's for 5-10 minutes every single day, you're building up that muscle, you're practicing that stamina, you're increasing that stamina every single day. And I talk a lot about this in my free training of how you can utilize 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, key pockets of time in your day to make sure that you are moving forward in your preparation and you keep building up your preparation. You keep moving forward every single day. So really, you need to put in the work here. If you're not able to concentrate throughout the test on test day, then this is something that you really need to work on. Okay, if a patient is known to you or the notes state that you have just finished examining the patient, do we need to start the test with introductions? Okay, so this is referring to the speaking test, the OET speaking test. If a patient is known to you or the notes state, so for example, if the patient is a regular patient, then no, you don't need to start with introductions because the OET test is meant to be as realistic as possible to real life. And you wouldn't introduce yourself to one of your regular patients. So you would start off by saying, good morning, Mr. Smith, or good morning, John. How are you today? How can I help you today? Something like that. So you're demonstrating to the examiner that you are aware, according to the case notes, that this is a regular patient and you have greeted that patient accordingly. Or if the role play says you've just finished an examination, so sometime in the notes it says, you've just completed the examination for Mr. Smith and you have found XYZ, and the first bullet point is saying, explain to Mr. Smith what you have found, what your diagnosis is. So, that's how you would start the role play. So again, you wouldn't introduce each other, it wouldn't make sense. You would start by saying, okay, Mrs. Smith, after just examining you or examining your leg or your back or whatever it is, I believe that you have, or I believe we need to, whatever, have a blood test or whatever. So, you have to be aware. This is why it's so important to read the case notes, the role play card carefully, and to plan. So in your planning time, you are planning how you are going to do those introductions. So there has to be a starting point. So you've got to make sure that that's right. If, for example, you're in a hospital situation and the patient has been in for a few days, so this is another scenario, and you're seeing the patient again, you could start by saying, hi, Mr. Smith, it's Dr. Kalsoom again. How are you today? So you're kind of giving your introduction, but you're kind of reminding the patient who you are. You've seen each other before, so you would have already done the introductions in your first meeting, but here you're just kind of reminding the patient who you are, because obviously in a hospital setting the patient sees lots of medical professionals, so you're just reminding the patient who you are. So it's just to refresh that memory. You only need a full introduction where you are seeing the patient for the first time. So, you know, hi, Dr. Smith. My name is Dr. Kalsoom. How are you today? So, you know, you would introduce yourself as my name is Dr. Kalsoom, and then you would start. So that's the only time that you would need a full formal introduction, is where you are seeing the patient for the first time. Again, look at the case notes. What do the case notes say? What does a role play card say? And that will dictate how you start off the conversation. Are OET going to make any changes to the test soon? This is always something that comes up. There's always lots of rumours that are going around amongst students that OET is going to change very soon and the test is going to change. What you need to understand is, please don't listen to rumours. Just follow what OET are doing. And OET, if at some point they, to answer the question, no, there are no changes to OET coming soon. If OET do decide to change something, they will never do it suddenly. They will never, you know, next month say, okay, the test next month will not be in this format, it will be in this format. They will never ever do that. There will be lots of information and announcement and publicity about any changes they were thinking of making. They'll make sure that everybody knows what the changes are and how to prepare. There'll be lots of practice materials demonstrating what the changes are. I mean, it's a long process. When they change something, it's a long process. So please don't worry about any changes. Nothing is going to change in OET. So please don't worry about that at all. Just focus on what the test is right now. And if there are to be any changes, you will definitely hear about it, and it will not happen straight away. It will take a long time, a good few months in advance. You'll be told about the changes. Okay, so I hope you found that really useful. Remember to check out the links in the comments that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Please remember to like, share and subscribe to this channel. If you have any questions regarding OET or IELTS, just email me at englishwithitutor@gmail.com, or you can write them in the comments below. Let me know what you think of this video. If there's any questions that you have regarding OET or IELTS, then just let me know and I'll answer them in the next video. Thank you for watching.